leadership posture and our leadership focus for this year. And this year's going to be like none other. This year's simply going to be like none other. So I know that all of you did a lot of great things in a short amount of time, whether it was just simply spending quality time at home, taking care of things that you had unattended because of your busy schedule, and maybe some of you got to fill your bucket list. In this particular case, Shannon Byrne certainly got to fill a bucket list. Shannon, what are we looking at here?
Humpback whale.
Tell them about it.
Humpback whale. Well, it was amazing. We went up to Whistler, Canada, and then we, on our way back, spent a couple of days in Vancouver. So this is in the Strait of Georgia, which is just a little bit north of Vancouver Island. So we were able to see about 4 different humpback whales. It was amazing.
So what happens when they come out of the water like that?
So when you see their tail coming up like that, they're preparing for a deep dive. So if they're on the surface, they're just eating the krill that's just below the water surface. But if they're going to go down deep and they position into a dive, and that's when their tail comes out of the water. It was really, really fun. It was
Pretty
my
amazing.
first- Yeah.
Well, congratulations on checking that off the list. Whistler, Canada. I didn't see anything like that when I worked this summer. Joette got to check off a box on her bucket list. Joette, what in the world are we looking at here, Joette?
I had the amazing opportunity to go to Cancun and a Category 2 hurricane hit when I was there. Fun times.
Which I don't know is the grief and the stress and the anxiety she had leading up to this trip, because she was going out of the country. She didn't know she was going to get kidnapped. She was going to get back. Little did she know God has a sense of humor. We're in the middle of a Category 2 hurricane. She's back, and we're glad. Welcome back. So bad. Oh, what's going on here, Judy? What is happening over here? What in the world?
Thank you, Roland. That was my 73rd birthday with my family. Except Travis and Shannon weren't there because they didn't invite me to go to Vancouver. So we did one better. We invited Bonnie and Roland to come. And it was very sweet to have everybody there.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see everybody. Oh, that's Heather. Is that an entire bottle of wine? My clicker's broken. I'm sorry. Oh, Shane checked some things off his list as well.
All right, so I'm sitting in a meeting. It's about 5:30 in the afternoon, and my wife texts me that she knows if I'm in a meeting, I'm not going to respond unless it's an absolute emergency. And then I get another text, and then I get another text, and then I get another text, and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. What's going on? My wife keeps texting me. This last one said 911. I step out, I call her, and she says, we got water all in the garage, everywhere, and it's coming into the bedroom through your closet. She goes, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, well, we need to go turn the water off. Anyway, $950 later, and about midnight, by the time the guy left, he dug into several parts of the wall to fix the pipe that had burst right above the water heater in the garage. And so it's obviously quite an extensive damage. So the pipes, we checked to see how well they do under pressure, and obviously they didn't do real well. Luckily, they got fixed, and they do much better now. So that was my
Congratulations, Shane. I think it was the next week that the pump to his septic system went out.
You know a guy.
Yeah. Yeah, and then right after that, the very next day, my septic system, we got one of those broken, the warning light came on, and we had to call in to come out and replace the entire component on the inside of it, which, another $1,000 later. So, Merry Christmas.
If Shane didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. Well, I don't have a picture, but James Urbanzik, I'm going to tell him. He was shaking my hand earlier, and I shook his hand, and he goes, oh! I'm like, what happened to you? He goes, I fractured a rib. And I'm like, you fractured a rib? How'd you fracture a rib? Okay, so now I'm thinking all kinds of stuff, right? Manly stuff. He says, well, my wife wanted me to get her luggage out of the back of her car, and I reached over to get her small carry-on, and I grabbed it, pulled, cracked, fractured a rib. If you have a wife, wives do not have small bags. They have really large bags. All right, I might embellish a little. And of course, I get to provide you guys an update on my favorite little ones. That's Kai at the Lavernia 4th of July celebration. I did make a mistake, but I learned a lesson. I took all 4 of them with me. We stayed for 20 minutes. And I don't know if this is Kai also, graduating from ISR this summer. Do y'all know what ISR is? If you don't, make sure all littles do this. Infant Swim Rescue. If you don't know what it is, they teach these babies. If they fall in the pool, don't panic. You can float. And then turn over and swim. Yeah, so there's several providers in the area. This one happens to be a former teacher of ours from John Glenn Tradition, and she does this full time. Now she's exceptional. So if you've got any littles in your life, strongly recommend this training. Yeah, that's Zane and his uncle Tyson. And he seems to kind of resemble his uncle Tyson. Y'all know Tyson just graduated last year, and you may or may not know. He's in his 6th week of basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. We talked to him a few minutes on Sundays, depending on if his platoon got in trouble or not. So he had about 5 minutes this Sunday and was telling us that he can't wait to get to his bed because he slept outside 3 nights. And he was out there 4 days and 3 nights, and he had to go to the infirmary Monday because they wanted to make sure he didn't have any infections or wasn't contagious. So he had all kinds of bites of who knows what everywhere. I mean everywhere. But we're very proud of him, and y'all should be too. Y'all helped us raise him. Coach, he's coming, baby. You ever met a kid who put a mouthpiece in for the first time? He don't take it out. He already has a little speech issue, but about 72 hours he wouldn't take that thing. I tried to sleep with him. Well, he's fired up. Papa, look at my muscles. This is after his very first day of practice. Houston, we have a problem. Yeah, we got a problem. Riley's, this is going to school right at the end of the year. So yeah, we're very blessed, very proud, and that's what we did most of the summer. And so, there's been some changes, and some new folks into the family. I want to introduce our new folks that are with us in the room, that you may not have an opportunity to meet yet. So when I say your name, if you just kind of stand up, wave your name to the face. Kimberly Perez is coming from Judson ISD. She's our academic facilitator for Sinclair. Kimberly, welcome. Michelle Hickman, many of you already know, she came over in the spring but wasn't here at DLT, so I formally wanted to introduce her to the entire DLT. She's our academic dean. Amy Lively has hit the ground running as our new principal at Oak Crest. Garrett Jackson has also hit the ground running as the principal at High School. Chris Turnbull, of course you know him, he came over in the spring. Clara Megara, assistant principal at Legacy Middle School. And Andrea principal at Heritage Middle School. Lisa Knoll, assistant principal at Northeast. And Crystal Walter, intake administrator. So contrary to popular belief, you don't have to go to East Central High School, graduate from East Central High School, be multi-generational in East Central, to land a job in East Central, much less a leadership position in East Central. We'll say Crystal and I and Suzette, many years ago, we're in grad school together, and her kids are in the system, and so we're really happy to bring Crystal back. Definitely does have connections to East Central. And then in this room, lots of changes in roles. So of course you'll know Joanne is now our Chief Instructional Officer. Yvonne Morales moved from teacher to assistant principal at Harmony. And I know you think everybody knows you, but Yvonne, where you at? Oh, hi. Make sure everyone can see you. Megan Flores, academic facilitator at Harmony. Cassandra Clark, Christian literacy coach. She won Mrs. Lavernia. It's her birthday, y'all. It's her birthday. Mary Alice Gomez. Take a picture of her. See what she looks like in 5 years. It's a job now, she knows. Casey Beckett will be making a transition. So Valor Middle School obviously is not open. We're really excited because we're partnering with TEA to kind of create an innovative school model at our middle school level. You guys all know that we've got a choice portfolio at the elementary and high school level, but nothing at the middle school level. And so our approach is to be really thoughtful about what middle school programming could look like from an innovative perspective, but also potentially a choice perspective. And so with the partnership, we've got a nice runway period to support Casey internally and working together with some technical support to create what Valor Middle School programming is going to look like in advance of opening that thing in a couple of years. So she will be our inaugural principal and will help us design that at their leaders. So, Casey, proud of you. Melissa Barnett, Coach Shib. Every time in the big seat, proud of you. Shifted over to personnel coordinator. Fatima Abuisha, moving to associate academic. Andy Christian, from assistant to associate principal at high school. My man started a new trip without a belt buckle. That's what I'm talking about. Sarah Antu, moving to academic facilitator at Arnold. She promised to behave. Exactly. Michael Gonzalez, moving to academic dean at Legacy. Gary Rudd Larson, moving from assistant to associate principal at Legacy. Jason Taylor, moved into the assistant principal role this spring from out of the classroom. I'll tell you, he definitely drank from a fire hose and got his feet underneath him, and he's ready for a fresh start here. Sergio Lopez, also in the spring, moved from teacher to assistant principal at the high school. Erica Jackson, y'all very well know, assistant principal in the spring. Stephanie Orsak, inaugural principal honor. The Bobcats, baby, the Bobcats, yes. Charlotte Reynolds, assistant principal at Harmony. Mary Steen, from assistant principal tradition to assistant principal honor, also a Bobcat. Justin Breeden, moving from assistant principal at Heritage to assistant principal at the high school. And finally, Teresa Sands, moved in the spring, and actually early last year, from literary specialist to a campus turnaround facilitator based out of Madison. So serving as a leader across the district. Is there anybody I missed in either of those groups? It's very possible. Ashley Robinson, our dietitian. Robin, Ashley Robin. Welcome, Ashley.
And we do
And
have,
Mary Alice, she's our new principal.
we have a new academic dean, Joy Scrivener. Where are you, Joy? There you
Oh,
are.
welcome, Joy.
Let's stay out of seat.
Thank you. Welcome, Joy. Our new project manager.
Justine Gonzalez is our new project manager.
So, welcome, Justina, and you may or may not all know that, obviously partnerships, strategic partnerships are a very big part of what we do. In fact, it's one of our top 4 priorities. We've been a very strong partner of communities and schools, and they have of us. So much so that they chose to write us into a huge grant that they were going out for called Project Aware. And we are one of only 2 school districts in the entire state of Texas who are receiving or actually part of a Project Aware grant. And the exciting thing is it allows us to take project management to another level. So we're going to be able to do many things, but one of the most exciting things is we're able to bring clinicians into our district. And so every single school will be served by a clinician. Up to 50 students will be able to receive mental health counseling support on site in our schools. And so with that came some additional staff to facilitate the project lead as part of our team, as part of our team partnership. And so we're really excited about that working. Just anyone else? Awesome. So we're very blessed, as you guys know, to have a board that is very engaged, very committed, and also in transition, because we've had a board that has been in their seats for a very, very long time. Continuity has been one of their superpowers. Bo, our president, has only been on the board for a few years. I'm sure she'll tell you about that. But now we're excited because as they reach the last season, the last phase in their service to our community, we've got the next generation of board members moving in, and we've got Ginger here today who is one of those. So the future is very bright because they come with a servant's heart. They're deeply seated in the community. They understand the role that we play as educators and what we need in order to execute on behalf of our kids and in service to this community. They're very clear about what it is they do from a governance standpoint and what it is we do from a management or execution standpoint. They're very kind, they're very sweet, they're very engaged, but they don't play. They hold me accountable and us accountable, and they have high standards for this school system and its children. And so we're very grateful for all of that. And so on behalf of the board, I'd like to turn it over to their president, their leader, Ms. Presses, for a few words.
So, I've been through a big move. Didn't plan on being the president of the board, but it happened, and I'm happy to be here. Actually was planning on retiring, and after 21 years. And so, because there is a new generation coming in, and there will be a new future of the board, but I felt like I was called on and needed, so I'm not going anywhere. If I'm needed, and me being here will have any effect or help this district to move forward, then I'm absolutely not going anywhere. I'm here today with my sister, Ginger Friesenhahn. I've been with her 49 years, and I can't seem to get rid of her. She's just following me around everywhere I go. But no, she's a blessing, and her and Mr. Carrasco, like Roland was saying, are the future of our board. Many of us will be moving on in the years to come and open the way for new board members. But as I stand before you today, I just want to tell you that you here in this room are the experts. We know nothing compared to what you know and what you do every day for our district and for the kids in our district. And so I continually learn every single time I'm at a board meeting or at some kind of a function or some kind of a class, or even just in exchange with Roland or my fellow board members or from some of the admin, I learn every single day of the things that you do and how important they are to us. And from my heart and the rest of my colleagues' hearts, I just want to thank you so much for your love and your commitment. The fact that you're here day in and day out, and it's all about the kids. Everything that you do trickles downhill, and it eventually affects our kiddos. So with that, just thank y'all so much, and I hope you have an incredible beginning of the school year, a whole great school year. And if there's anything we can ever do for you, please don't hesitate to let Roland know, because the board is here for you. And we work for you, we work for the kids, so if there's anything that you need, please don't ever hesitate to let us know that. We're happy to help. So good luck, have a great year.
Thank you, Bo. And Ginger is also on the board of the Texas Association of School Boards, and so she's very active and very busy, and bringing a lot of statewide knowledge and perspective to this board and to all of us. And so we're excited about where they are as a team and their leadership and support. Support's a big word for them. So we appreciate you guys tremendously. Thanks for being here. We know you're very busy, and I believe we'll have a couple more board members joining us tomorrow as well. So thank you. So our board, along with a few of us, spent some time at a workshop this summer with PEA and the System of Great Schools. And the System of Great Schools is a program that is very dear to the commissioner and the agency's heart. Their focus is to be disruptive, to think about the way we've always done school, and to imagine new possibilities where there are opportunities. And to bring a bunch of like-minded people who are very talented, but also very passionate about the mission of public education and open to new possibilities. And so this group has been in existence, I believe, about 7 years. We were invited as a district to enter into a cohort that will be in the partnership for 5 years. And one thing that we learned while there, among many things, was that the board can have a tremendous impact on student outcomes. And that it's really important for us to have goals, which we know are through our CG process and all that we do to, really uncover our greatest opportunities for improvement, that we really gotta have some North Stars. That it's important for the board to really dig deep and determine some really meaningful, huge, if you will, North Star goals that are not only meaningful, but they're measurable and they're moving. And if we were to make movement on such goals, they would be transformative for kids. They would be transformative for our system. And so they haven't established these yet. They have a goal setting workshop at the end of this month where we're going to propose these among others, but we've been in conversation about some possibilities. So what I'm bringing to you is a first look at some possibilities with an explanation of kind of why we think these kind of meet that mark of being really, really huge, very big, audacious goals that are also meaningful, that are also measurable, and that are also movable. And that should we make progress on these goals, would be transformative. So the board is also very much been focused on all kids. Not some kids, not most kids, not just the kids that come with the right attitude and the right, work ethic and 2 parents at home, but all kids, regardless of where they start. Even though we have close to 60% of our 4-year-olds that enter pre-K that aren't even close to being ready for kindergarten, so what? Right? All kids. So these things are going to represent our expectations for all kids. And so one possibility is that we want to move towards a reality, a utopia, where every kid in our system, no matter where they start, by the time they finish 3rd grade, they're reading on grade level. Now, why is that important? It's important because the data is really good, right? If you look at the school to prison pipeline data, strong correlation between literacy in 3rd grade at the end of their 9-year-old year. and what happens in the juvenile justice or justice involved states. It also means that they're in the 95th percentile. Immediately. If they are being on grade level, their age appropriate level, in the 3rd grade, they have a 95% probability of finishing high school on time, meeting all the criteria, right? 95th percentile. You can't screw them up if you get them right by the end of 3rd grade. Like, it's almost impossible. It takes trauma in life and repeated to mess them up. So this unlocks so much for the future of our kids if we're able to do that. Now, does that mean we can do that by just concentrating all our efforts on 3rd grade teachers and 8-year-old kids? We're smarter than that. Okay? It means we got to do a lot well before that. Right? So this goal doesn't mean a myopic focus on just 3rd grade. It means that everything we do should give rise to this end. Another possibility is that by the end of 5th grade, every kid from a literacy and numeracy standpoint is on level. Again, we should be moving towards this. Is that our current reality? Good God, no. And I'm not going to put numbers to it right now. The board's going to have to do that and set some standards from where we currently are to where they expect us to be in 5 years, year over year. As we move towards this utopic vision that we have for what could be, what needs to be. But what does this do for kids? What it means is as they transition to the middle school, it unlocks advanced coursework. They have access to all the advanced coursework that we have to offer. It unlocks high school credits in middle school. And by doing those things, it unlocks a whole lot of possibilities for what they can accomplish from an employability standpoint, credentialing standpoint, and advanced academic or college readiness standpoint by the time they get to high school. This unlocks so many opportunities and so many possibilities for the future of our children if this is true. Another possibility is that we expect every kid by the time they're done with eighth grade to have mastered algebra. Why? It's the gatekeeper. Kids who don't master algebra generally are not college ready. If they go to college, they got to take remedial courses, which we all know what that means. They cost the same, but they don't count towards the degree. And they generally, if they enter college that way, they don't finish. So it's a gatekeeper. We also know that in the workforce, all the way up to NASA engineers, that 95% of all math that we use in life does not exceed Algebra 1, no matter your career. So while advanced mathematics is really important for critical thinking and problem solving and a whole lot of things, but chances are for life readiness and for career readiness, they gotta master this to unlock their future potential. Right? This is the floor. So what do we mean by college ready, possibly here in East Central? By the end of 11th grade, we want every kid to meet that standard on things like ACT and SAT. There are a lot of ways to determine college readiness, but we want the bar to be a little bit higher than just TSIA, or just to take a college readiness course, or Texas College Bridge. By the end of 11th grade, we want to move towards every kid meeting college readiness standards and the College Board standard for college readiness. And there could be other AP standards as well. We'll work through that if the board feels this is a worthy goal, a worthy North Star goal. And then lastly, every kid, by the time they graduate, 100%, every kid, one or more, college, career, military readiness indicators, non-negotiable. We in this room know that of those 5, the one that we're closest to, that is more likely to be realized within the 5-year window is going to be the last one. We learned a lot of lessons this year about what's possible when you really focus on a goal that is worthy and mobilize a very strategic team around that goal, make the impact visible and the cadence of monitoring that impact frequent. And we went from in the 30% of our graduate range to in the 81% of our graduate range in a matter of 2 months with that last bullet. We believe that those lessons can be transferred to make a movement towards the progress the board's going to expect us to make in every one of these North Star goals. So these are the North Stars. potential. Again, the board has to do some work around them. There may be amendments to these, there may be additions or deletions to these. We felt like as a team, after working with it for the last month, that this is a good start for the conversation. So more to come. So for those of you who have been with us, you know that this is just a simple idea, right? It's a simple idea that if we serve kids, right? Like, let me just use this analogy. If I were to run a mile, if I was an athlete who had a dream to run a mile, and I started training for that mile my 9th grade year, and I ran a 10-minute mile, then if I continued to train consistently throughout that year, barring injury, barring any cruel and unusual methodology a coach might inappropriately use, I'm not talking about outliers, but right, conceptually, if I train consistently every day, at the end of 9 weeks, should I still be running a 10-minute mile? At the end of the first semester, should I still be running an 8-minute mile? At the end of the third quarter, should I still be running an 8-minute mile? And at the end of the year, should I probably be closer to my dream of a sub-6-minute mile? In other words, it's impossible to appropriately prepare somebody for something and they stay the same or they regress. Like conceptually, how do we teach a kid to read all year and they read the same or they read worse by the end? How do we teach them math all year and they read the same or they know less math by the end of the year? That's freaking impossible. So for us, we believe that in a year, they ought to grow what the standard seems to be in a norm reference perspective 1 year, right? In whatever we're doing. In this case, we'll talk numeracy and literacy, but in anything, athletics as well. But we also know that a year's not enough for most of our kids. Fact is, 60% of our kindergartners are not ready for kindergarten in East Central High School. Community is different than other communities. And so we got to get them ready. And so a year is not enough for most of our kids from the word go. So that's what +1+ means for us. It's what it indicates, right? It's an idea. It's a philosophy. It's a kind of a value, right, for us. And you'll also, in the spirit of all means all, we believe that we got to bring our best to bear for every student every day. Tired's not an excuse. You know, having problems at home, not an excuse. You know, I'm 30 years in, I'm a little tired, not an excuse. Like, for every student every day, we got to bring our best. For every student every day, even when they're not their best. Right? Like, that's part of our ethos here at East Central ISD. And at the bottom, you'll see that advanced academics and employability, which based on our initial conversations this morning, you've got the idea that we believe that they're equally important. Yes, we believe that every kid should go to college, but we also put parentheses around college because that means a lot of things. It means post-secondary ready, it means post-secondary intentionality, it means continuing their credential earning or education, whatever that needs to look like, we got to get them ready for it. Every kid. But we also know that our community says we need them to apply what they've learned. We don't need them to just pass tests. We don't need them to just earn credits. We don't need them to have a high GPA. We kind of need them to be able to apply that in a meaningful way, to provide a service, to design and create products, to actually be employable, right? And that one is not more important than the other. And that by the time our kids graduate, we ought to have multiple indicators that Tyson Toscano is both academically ready for what's next without any need for remediation, and he's employable, which means a lot of things. He needs to have credentials, he needs to have some background work experience, he needs to have some soft skills. You know what all those things are? He's getting a lot more of those in the Army. And when you look at the graphic there, around the outer edge, you'll see that leadership matters. That that none of getting to the student needs and their ultimate outcomes that we aspire for them and that they hope and dream for themselves is going to happen without leadership. So leadership the EC way is by design, as you all know. That's the work we've been doing with the Holmes work for several years now, and we'll continue for the next couple, and have institutionalized. We don't do Holdsworth, we do leadership the EC way. And we also know that we had to create a very disciplined, consistent, reliable, formal process for determining what our needs are in an ongoing fashion. Because we'll have a lot of needs. We got a lot of problems to solve. But among those, we got to have a disciplined way to determine which of those are elevated to be the highest priorities at this moment in time. And then based on that, we've got to have a methodology for how we build goals around that and strategies around that and monitoring mechanisms to ensure that we make progress on those things and that we all go through this cadence of continuous improvement. We call that the CG process. Okay? Now, if we live out our ethos and we operationalize effective leadership and we execute using our discipline process for continuous growth, then we have the ability to reliably, for the board and this community, make progress on each of the 4 priorities that the board has established that we've been operating from. And those priorities, in order, for a reason, are teaching and learning, our workforce, our partnerships, and operations. And in terms of teaching and learning, we are in a constant, ongoing pursuit of determining the most essential content, the most essential resources, the most essential tools, less is more, if you will, so that we can focus on the resources that teachers can utilize to execute high quality, reliable instruction. In other words, a buffet is not okay, even though everything on the buffet is delicious and great and we want it all. So we are on this ongoing pursuit of pruning, of getting rid of ensuring that our people closest to kids, 23-year-old alt cert or 51-year-old vets, are able to execute at the same level. So this is an ongoing iterative process to focus to support teaching and learning so that we can execute. Teaching is an act. It's an interface between a teacher and a student, right? And when I'm planning to teach, it's critical. But if I do more planning than teaching, and I'm better at planning than teaching, learning actually doesn't happen. Because learning only happens in the interface between the teacher and the student, right? So where do we need teachers to spend most of their time? Preparing to teach. So we need to support their ability to plan in such a way that it quickly shifts to things like rehearsal, right? To things like getting at bats together so that when they're in front of kids, they're not practicing with kids. Okay, they're not honing their craft with kids. They're freaking delivering. High quality, highly reliable, highly engaging, and they're astute at the moves they need to make in real time throughout each segment of instruction. That art is difficult for a 23-year-old officer or a 51-year-old veteran. It's difficult. So for a priority 1 standpoint, execution, we got to create the conditions where execution is likely for anyone who steps into our classrooms. Last I checked, we got 22 vacancies still. So we're going to have some people that ain't ready to teach in our classroom, and that number is going to grow year over year. So how does the Army ensure an 18-year-old soldier who's scared of a cat is ready for war? Trust me, they focus and they set the conditions where that 18-year-old Tyson who's afraid of a bug can execute. And then we monitor and adjust, meaning we can have great plans for the year of all of our professional development, all of our planning, all of our curriculum writing and document adapting and all the things. That's great. We need to do that. But we need to be completely in tune with what's happening in the classroom in real time and what the lived experience of teachers is. And what can we do to adjust what we're doing at any moment in time from a Friday to a Monday to make life better and more doable for the teacher so that the interface between kids and students isn't negatively affected. And we don't get into those ruts that ultimately cause kids who are being taught to read all year long to read the same or less by the end of the year. It's a function of their teacher. And teachers show up based on the environment and the conditions we create, the tools and resources we give them. Priority 2 is all about the workforce. You know, when I started in this business, when many of you started in this business, when I started this business here at East Central IC, when we would post a teaching position, we would have anywhere from 20 to 120 applicants. Immediately. I'm talking about certified, went through ed prep programs. Alt cert wasn't even a thing. I think we had 8 or 9 positions last year that we didn't fill the entire year. And you can just go across districts in the area and across districts in the state, and that's the reality. So, how do we use staff? We got to think about using staff in ways we've probably never used them before that ultimately are more beneficial for kids. Strategic staffing is a real thing. We need to think about that in new and innovative ways, and we got to constantly think about that and question, solve problems that we have innovatively. Some of you who don't have co-teach positions filled and in no applicants in the queue, you still have to deliver that service day one. So how can we do that with our existing assets? Right? So we gotta have to think when it comes to staffing, and this isn't just in the classroom, this is across our departments, right? They're not falling out of trees. Post-COVID, people with a great work ethic, who are there early and late, who say, put me in, coach, who never say that's not my job, who are never late, who never neglect, stamp their name on everything they touch, take pride in their work, like they're not falling out of trees. We're getting the best we got, and we got to make chicken salad out of it. We still got to deliver. Nobody cares. Right? So we were setting up the sound for this yesterday, and this is an antiquated system. Hard to believe that it's actually antiquated because I was principal when we put it in. And it was supposed to be state-of-the-art, best of the best, all the things. Well, this thing don't work. The microphones don't work. They're all dead. They're so antiquated you can't get new ones to replace it and talk to the system. So I come in here yesterday, and Shane and Danny Christian are trying to make that speaker work. But I know something. I went to the SUMA banquet in the spring, and we used that speaker because we didn't have another option, and it was horrible. The students gave speeches to the teacher that had the most impact on them. These students earned 100 or plus for 4 years. They deserve to be heard. The first few we couldn't hear because we relied on that system. Well, because we had to. But guess what wasn't going to happen today? We're not going to rely on that system. It's crap. It's going to be disrespectful to everybody in the room and ineffective. So I said, Danny, that ain't going to work. He goes, oh man, we only have one mic, and we're going to have to use that one for when people talk. And I said, Danny, ain't going to work. I don't really care. Figure it out. It took him like 10 seconds to say, well, there's an RCA jack in the back. I think I can use that as a receiver. I think I can pipe it in. He's doing this. He's thinking. He goes, you want me to try that? Oh, yeah, let's try that. And he left. 5 minutes later, he came back, plugged in a wire. Him and Shane are over there talking, probably about me. And what we couldn't solve, Danny solved in less than 10 minutes. Because we had constraints. They don't work. That's all we got. But I didn't settle. I said, that ain't good enough. I don't care. And I'm not going to be able to helicopter you in a microphone. Like, they don't exist. But that ain't going to be our standard. So when you say, I don't have a co-teacher, I don't care. Neither does that parent's kids. Neither does TEA. Figure out what you got. And I think if you didn't have an easy button, like Andy didn't have yesterday, and Shane didn't have yesterday when I walked in, no more easy button. They figured out a solution with what they had. Like, I'm not being critical and I'm not trying to highlight what I did. I'm talking about this new mentality of leadership. That in this context, as it relates to staffing, we need to solve problems really innovative. All our problems, not just staffing problems. And we just gotta say, our standard is our standard, we're not changing our standard, despite the constraints in our current reality. Figure it out. CCMR, we went to Southside, we heard them talk about what they did. I asked Amanda where we were actually 28%, I said, not good enough. But we all started to kind of justify our effort for a second. I don't care. Not good enough. Gonna be 80%. We only got a few, I don't care. But we already got, I don't care. 81%. So when you say, I don't care, break what we need to break, because the standard is the standard, it's amazing what happens when we don't waste a crisis. We've all heard that phrase, right? Like, so this is the mentality we gotta adopt. Which one formed the culture that we operate within? Our culture for our staff is family. It's rooted in family. It's rooted in unity. It's rooted in togetherness. It's rooted in candor. Because we have genuine care and concern for our effect on children, but we should have genuine care and concern